We're now diving into one of the most important concepts to master for professional quality audio, the compressor sandwich, sometimes called the compression sandwich. If you've been following my recent videos, you've heard me mention this technique quite a bit, and there's a good reason for that. The compressor sandwich is a core, fundamental concept for achieving professional audio quality, not just in Audacity, but in any audio editing workflow. What is a compressor sandwich? Let me break it down in the simplest way possible. A compressor sandwich means applying your effects in this specific order: normalize, compressor, normalize. But here's the important part. These three effects don't have to be applied back to back. The rule is that there has to be a normalize effect somewhere before the compressor and another normalize immediately after the compressor effect. Whenever you use a compressor, a normalize must come right after it. Between your first normalize and the compressor, you can place other effects. That's perfectly fine. You're still following the compressor sandwich pattern. Similarly, after the final normalize, you can add more effects and it still counts as a compressor sandwich. So here's how to think about it. List out all the audio effects you're applying, then mentally remove everything that isn't a normalize or a compressor. If what remains shows a normalize before the compressor and a normalize after the compressor, congratulations, that's a compressor sandwich. So why does this matter? To really understand why the compressor sandwich works, you need to understand RMS and how it relates to the compressor. RMS stands for root mean square. In mathematical terms, it's a specific calculation, but what it actually represents for us is the loudness of your audio. If you run an ACX check in Audacity, you'll see the RMS measurement of your recording in its current state. Let me show you with an example. I have a recording here, and when I run the ACX check, I can see the RMS level is currently minus 32.96 decibels. RMS indicates the average loudness of the audio. If you're a complete beginner to Audacity, I recommend checking out my Audacity bundle. It's a collection of Audacity courses along with some pre-built macros, including a custom EQ macro that I'll personally customize based on your voice. As a bonus, you also get one-on-one calls with me, either 2 30-minute sessions or 1 full hour-long session, completely free when you enroll in the bundle. If you already have some Audacity experience and you're looking for next-level editing techniques, tricks, and workflows, check out my Professional Voice Audio Blueprint for Audacity. It's an on-demand course where I teach you the advanced tricks and workflows you need to produce professional quality voice audio in Audacity. Links are in the description below and the pinned comment. For ACX standards, the RMS should sit between minus 23 decibels and minus 18 decibels. There is a crucial relationship between peak and RMS. RMS must always be measured in relation to the peak. This means you only start worrying about RMS once your peak is at the ideal level. If the peak isn't right yet, don't worry about RMS, because these two values are tightly coupled. Increase the peak, the RMS also increases. Decrease the peak, the RMS also decreases. Let's try to fix the RMS for this recording. To do that, step 1 is to fix the peak with a normalize effect. In my example, the peak is sitting at minus 12.78 decibels. The ideal peak for audiobooks is minus 3 decibels. So let's fix that first using the normalize effect. I'll go to Effect, Normalize, set the peak amplitude value to minus 3, and apply it. Running the ACX check again, I can see the peak is now at minus 3 decibels, which is ideal. But look at the RMS, it's now minus 23 decibels. It was way below the range before, but now it's just barely sitting outside the acceptable ACX range. So this audio is almost good. The peak is perfect, but the RMS is still slightly out of range. We got an increase in the RMS after we increased the peak, but now the problem is that we can't raise the peak again. The peak is already at minus 3 decibels, which is the maximum we can go for ACX standards. If we push the peak any higher, the audio fails ACX compliance. Of course, for YouTube videos, you have more flexibility. You can go higher to minus 2 decibels or even minus 1 decibel. But it's always a good practice to follow audiobook standards, even for YouTube content or voiceover demos. So we're stuck. Peak is at minus 3 decibels, RMS is just below minus 23 decibels, and we can't raise the peak anymore to boost the RMS. This is exactly where the compressor comes in. Step 2 is to apply the compressor effect. Let's apply one to this audio. I'll go to Effect Compressor. I have a compressor setting that I often use for some of my recordings. I won't go into the specific settings right now. If you've watched my YouTube videos or taken my beginner courses, you already know the basic compressor configuration. For now, I will use this and check how it is affecting the RMS. After applying the compressor, you can see that some of the waveform has shrunk. Let me run the ACX check again. The RMS reads -24 decibels. Wait, that's actually worse than before. It was -23, now it's -24. Why the compressor seems to make things worse? Remember what I said earlier, RMS must always be measured against the peak. Look at what happened to the peak after applying the compressor. It's no longer at -3 decibels. The compressor has pushed the peak down below -3. So the RMS hasn't actually gotten worse. We just need to fix the peak again. Step 3 is to apply the normalize effect again. Let's normalize one more time, effect, normalize, and set peak amplitude to -3 decibels, and apply. Now let's run the ACX check. Look at this. Peak is back at -3 decibels, and the RMS is now -20 decibels. That's the magic moment. RMS has jumped from -23 to -20, well within the acceptable range, without increasing the peak value. The peak is exactly -3, but the loudness has gone up. This only happens because of the Normalize Compressor Normalize sequence. That's the whole point of the compressor sandwich. The key takeaway: whenever you need to increase the RMS of your audio without blowing out the peak, you must follow the compressor sandwich method. There's no way around it. Now, the recording I used in this demonstration was actually fairly well balanced in terms of dynamic range to begin with. Your audio won't always be this cooperative. Often you'll need to boost the RMS much more aggressively, which means the compressor becomes even more essential than what you saw today. We'll explore those situations as we progress through. If you want to learn how to do all these things just in a single click, watch the video on the screen.